Hi everyone, and welcome to today's show. Today I have with me a great businessman and entrepreneur, the MD CEO of Advent Group. Welcome to the show.
Very much, madam.
Can we meet you, please?
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, first of all.
Thank you.
My name is Femi Ladigbo. I'm the MD and CEO of Advent Group. Advent Group plays in the oil and gas sector. We also have major interests in the construction and construction services industry.
Today, we're going to be talking about entrepreneur and entrepreneurship. We're going to be talking about business owners. We're going to talk about businesses in Nigeria, how they strive, considering the economy in the nation. We're going to be talking about stability and instability of businesses. What are the cause and effects of businesses in Nigeria? How do you improve as a business owner? What are the necessary things you need to put in place? Or how does Nigerian factor or Nigerian economy affect business owners and their businesses? And how have they been striving? We're going to be talking about success story of some business owners and how they've been able to pull through, considering the state of the nation, considering the economy and all that is going on. So, Mr. Femi Ladigbo, in your definition, who is an entrepreneur?
An entrepreneur can be said to be a risk taker. It's someone that creates value with the intention of getting profit from the value he has created by selling that value to those that appreciate and desire that value.
Risk taker.
Yes.
Nice. So, how has the Nigerian factor affected you as an entrepreneur?
Well, when you say the Nigerian factor, the Nigerian factor, connotes a lot of negative things that are not supposed to be the best position for an entrepreneur to thrive. So when we say Nigerian factor, I would want to look at it from both the positive and from the negative side. Good. Let's start from talking about the environment. I would see that as the positive side because Nigeria is a developing country.
Yeah, you're right.
For developing countries, there presents major opportunities for entrepreneurs because entrepreneurship is about seeing something of value or being able to think or create value out of things in your environment for people to buy into. And in the process of you offering that value, you make profit. So Nigeria presents a very large opportunity, unlike places like the US or the UK where most services or products that you want to provide are already being done by someone else. In Nigeria, there are so many things that you can think about that nobody is doing.
Which is a good thing, right?
Which is a good thing. So I'm starting from that positive angle. So when you say the Nigerian factor, you would see this evident in foreigners trooping into Nigeria with their funds to take advantage of.
Invest here.
Yes, to invest here. Say, for example, where in the world, where in a developed country can you invest money and get 100% in a year?
Nowhere.
It's nowhere. But in Nigeria, the possibilities are many.
Endless.
They are endless. So I would say that is a positive thing for an entrepreneur thinking about doing business in Nigeria.
Very good.
I would look at, for example, our construction industry. The methods, the technology in general construction today are still very primitive compared to developed countries. So just bringing one little technology and bringing it into Nigeria, you are capable of cleaning out, yes, of making so much money.
Nice.
So there's that opportunity. So that is that about the positive Nigerian factor.
Before you go ahead, that means there's a good positive vibe, okay, or a good positive angle for anybody anybody who wants to go into business in Nigeria. There's that enabling environment. There's possibilities.
Possibilities. I'm not talking about the enabling environment.
Okay.
I'm talking about an environment that has prospects.
Okay, so there's prospects.
Yes.
All right. So let's get it. So it's prospects.
Prospects. So now, when we now go to the negative aspect of the Nigerian factor, here is where we have a lot of challenges. Number one, in Nigeria, we see entrepreneurship as just buying and selling. But entrepreneurship is not just buying and selling. Entrepreneurship encompasses a lot more than just buying and selling. Buying and selling is the last process of actually getting value for the entrepreneurial process. So there's a dearth in terms of business knowledge. Entrepreneurship, if it is being taught at all in institutions in Nigeria, whether tertiary or secondary, is still very, very, very little. So I would say the knowledge, entrepreneurial knowledge, is still limited in Nigeria.
Okay.
Of course, there have been some institutions that are trying to do their best to improve and up the capacity of our people, including myself, in entrepreneurial knowledge. A lot of people don't know about accounting, financial management, human resource management, operations management in entrepreneurship, inventory management, sales as different from marketing. And those knowledge are so important for an entrepreneur. So, and also there's a difficulty in getting data. So someone who wants to go into a business in Nigeria, you need to conduct a quantitative feasibility study. Not just the quality of the feasibility study, but the quantities. You want to get them right to be able to make your projections.
That's why most of the CEOs are going to business schools these days to go and learn a lot about entrepreneurships and all the rest of that. So I agree with what you said.
So that is one challenge that is in view of the Nigerian factor. It's negative. So secondly, I'd like to mention the finance and financial management. They go hand in hand somehow, because if you're able to demonstrate proper financial management, then the finance or the financing organizations are able to provide finance.
Will you say that our government are not recognizing the opportunities in providing enabling environments for entrepreneurs? Or will you say our government is not completely supporting entrepreneurs and helping them to expand? Or they are not providing enough financial capacity or financial possibilities for entrepreneurs to be able to access funds in pushing for their businesses? Because I'm aware that a lot of countries like China, a lot of other countries that are doing so well, they have an opportunity with their governments in assessing loans, assessing either government loans or business loans, in pushing for their businesses. And in a way, their government supports their businesses and helps them to grow, no matter the scale of their business. So what will you say about our own part here in Nigeria? Okay,
I give you an example. I was with a friend, a Chinese. Okay, that was on a last visit to Beijing. And he was telling me about the story of his success. He's been able to build a very, very large machinery company in Beijing, in just about less than 80 kilometers from Beijing, in a city called Tianjin. Okay. He said in the 80s, when he left the university, he was amongst the many people that decided that they were not going to work for anybody. They wanted to go into entrepreneurship because the government of China was ready to support, wanted to support anybody that wanted to go into entrepreneurship. So if you wanted a job, they help you get a job. But if you wanted entrepreneurship, you would have to show them what you want to do, and they put in a lot of finance in it. The story is here for everybody to see. The reality is that because China pumped a lot of money into entrepreneurship, right now China has more millionaires than any other place in the world.
Yeah.
More millionaires in terms of US dollars than any other place in the world. And they are almost at par in terms of billionaires with America, that has as the largest number of billionaires in the world. So, but when you look at the number of millionaires that they have more than 20 times the number of millionaires that are in America or in any other place. So, the secret of entrepreneurial success from the point of view of the government is supporting entrepreneurs with a lot of finance.
What's the case over here?
The case over here in Nigeria, we see a lot of support, but support that is not getting to where it is supposed to get to. Every year, Bank of Industry votes a lot of money. The CBN votes a lot of money to support entrepreneurs. SMEs, yes. Through the SMIDAN, through other organizations that are industry specific. They've been giving money. However, this needs to be doubled up. It needs to be multiplied in geometric progression. We need to see organizations or people coming out to even look for these entrepreneurs. There are a lot of entrepreneurs that are just wallowing in challenges, looking for small amounts of money, that have very fantastic business ideas. I always give an example. Before MTN, Econet, and Glo came to Nigeria, all of us we traveled to Ibadan and find that the person we are going to see is not there, has just left for Lagos. And we come back to Lagos. When we get to Lagos, they say he has just gone to Ilorin. And we wonder, in hindsight, how were we doing business before MTN, honestly, and all these other telecommunications companies, before we had phones? Now look at it, everybody has 2-3 phones, and if somebody doesn't have his phone, you quarrel with the person that, where's your phone? How can you not carry your phone around? Right. Before this time, we didn't know. A lot of companies were invited to bid for Nigerian license, which was $285 million at that time. It was the most expensive by far. Nigeria had no infrastructure. Nigeria had nothing. So it didn't make any sense for anybody to. But there was the market. And the few, which is in terms of MTN, Econet Wireless at that time, came in, bought the license, set up infrastructure for themselves, and they cleaned out in a very short time. So you see, there are opportunities, but it is the people that have the money that can stake and ride the storm until they get to that promised land where everything comes in cruise control, the money comes back to them. So if a government wants to be wealthy, a government has to create wealthy entrepreneurs. You have to create as many as possible wealthy entrepreneurs. In Israel, if you are an entrepreneur, you register with the government. They give you money to start your entrepreneurship. If it fails, they monitor it. But if it fails, they allow you get another money and start something else. So, people criminalize failure of business in Nigeria. They criminalize failure of business in Nigeria. But failure of business is a normal process.
That's right.
It's a normal process. It is in that process that you learn. I have been burnt. I have lost a lot of money. I've been in challenges where you stake a lot. Because as an entrepreneur, optimism is your second name.
That's right.
Optimism, you keep taking risks. Because if you are being pessimistic, you're taking all the risk. You're like, you would never do anything.
That's right.
So, and in your process of calculated optimism, you still make mistakes.
That's right.
Things still crash, but other things you still try more. But where is the cushion for entrepreneurs? If they lose all this, they're in trouble. They lose their shirts. So the government has to support. So,
what do you think should be the solution? Okay, what can government do to ease the problems and multiply entrepreneurs in Nigeria, and at the same time build wealth as a nation? Okay, what can we do?
Number one thing, I will start from teaching people to be entrepreneurs.
How do you mean? Create a school?
Number one, make it mandatory
Okay.
at secondary school level
Oh, yeah.
to teach entrepreneurship as a subject. Why is our curriculum fashioned again after foreign countries?
Because they already have a structure. They already have a built infrastructure.
Exactly.
So
why are we following British curriculum? Why don't we create our Nigerian curriculum that functions for us? That's what China did. China created their own thing, which works for them. So first of all, the government needs to ensure that there's a mandatory knowledge building in entrepreneurship. Start from the beginning. Start from the beginning, from even primary school. Give them introduction to entrepreneurship. Let the secondary school students learn entrepreneurship in school. Make entrepreneurship part of the compulsory courses in the universities, so that we don't keep churning out graduates that know nothing but to look for a job.
Looking for jobs that are not enough. Look, you are looking for job, they don't have a job, and then when you tell them go and start a business, it looks as if you are asking them to go to hell.
Of course.
When you say go and start a business, because
they don't know how to. But if they've been taught in school, entrepreneurship, they are even thinking, they are looking at their time as more valuable than going to sit with somebody and put 8 hours. Yes, put 8 hours and cap the amount of money they can. It's good to work and get industry experience and all that. In Germany, as an engineering student, you do 2 years of apprenticeship in Germany. It's not 2 years straight, but 1 year. We used to have something similar to that in the polytechnics, where you do industrial attachment. Yeah, there's an industrial training fund in Nigeria. We have ITF in Nigeria, but I don't know whether it is functional. I know that organizations pay taxes to the ITF. But then it needs to be more functional. We need to teach entrepreneurship in Nigeria. We need to make people interested in entrepreneurship. We need to provide the support. I had a friend that worked for a bank in Canada. It's a development bank. Now, that development bank is similar to what we have as Bank of Industry in Nigeria here. But they go a step further. As somebody interested in entrepreneurship, you bring a proposal to them. They don't deal with anybody that already has an existing business. They deal with people that just have portfolio business. So you come to them, you tell them, this is your idea, this is what you want to do, this is what you want to do. They pair you with a consultant.
Just like African Development Bank.
They pair you with a consultant that knows your business and has some data on the kind of business that you are doing, and knows what business structures you need, how much finance you need, the different risks that are associated with the business that you are trying to do. They help you. And once they are able to put a shape to your idea, they provide the finance for you. And they support you until you are self-sustaining. Once you are self-sustaining, they transfer you to a commercial bank. We need to see something like that in Nigeria. Bank of Industry is not just supposed to be there to just give money. Bank of Industry should build the capacity in the entrepreneurs. I don't see that happening. You just look for, Bank of Industry says, you must have your tax clearance for this period. Show us the business you want to do. Where is your feasibility study? Where is the Bank of What are they putting into the business? They're only putting money. Every other thing you are showing them is to reduce the risk. I don't want it to be a risk, a lender, a provider of funds relationship. It should be a mutual relationship. Yes, it's in biology it's called a symbiotic relationship, where you are benefiting from me and I am benefiting from you. In Yoruba they say "Ironre gini ironre ye." What that means is, when there's so much wind, the tree is not staying still, and if the tree cannot stay still, the birds cannot perch on them. So it is mutually beneficial for the wind to stay still so that the birds can perch on it. All right. So if in Nigeria the government makes it mandatory for the various organizations that they've set up to be more effective in building the capacity of entrepreneurship in our interested entrepreneurs,
Okay,
make them better.
Okay, so Mr. Femi, if I get you right, first thing first is that the government needs to come up with curriculums from primary, possibly secondary and tertiary university, whereby everyone, students, can start learning or start having an idea of what an entrepreneur means, possibly start thinking of a businesses or an idea. And you know, I want to agree with what you said, because beyond the fact that this is happening across other parts of the world, the developed nation, it's also good because these children are very intelligent at that stage. I know some of our children are good in drawings. Some children are good in just putting things together. At that stage, they are being, even in school, they are being taught creative arts and a couple of other things. They are doing music. They are trying them out. And entrepreneurship should be part of the course they should be doing, so that while they are doing all those things, children can start picking up ideas, start creating what they want to do.
They know that they can get value from these things they are doing.
Rather than just do it and forget it at secondary school.
Forget it, and then
at university they just pick up a career.
They pick up a career and then they go for a job.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
That's why today we have a lot of unemployed graduates.
Exactly.
Across Nigeria.
Unemployment.
Yes.
Unemployment is crazy in Nigeria. You cannot imagine the number of people that are unemployed. That is huge. But apart from even those that are unemployed, what of the number of people that are employed but are grossly underemployed? Someone that can use his brain to do a lot of things, but yet is only employed because of sustenance. Because of sustenance, he needs money for his rent, for his food, for other upkeep, to keep his family.
To become dormant.
So he's only doing something very, very menial to keep body together, to feed himself. So there's so much underemployment. There's so much unemployment.
What about the enabling environment? What do you think the government needs to do about enabling environment, financial? Okay, we've talked about technical support. We've talked about teaching them. What about technical support? What about finances? What about creating an enabling environment for entrepreneurs?
So when I started, I started with building capacity in terms of the knowledge, because if you keep giving money to people that don't know entrepreneurship or don't have the standard and the basic knowledge of entrepreneurship, they will only take this money and go and marry another wife, or drink, buy cars, or do something, travel, or embezzle the money, and the money goes down.
True.
So you must build the capacity, and that's why I started from, building the capacity in the people. I was speaking with a friend this morning who has just invested about $8 million in his factory in Abuja here.
Oh, good.
And he told me that, he has the future in mind. Well, he's a foreigner, and he sourced all that money from his home country. He has seen an opportunity, a major opportunity. He has sourced that money from overseas, and he has invested here. In Nigeria, you have entrepreneurs that have ideas, that have proper business set up, that have interest in investing, but they don't have the money.
They just need a little push.
They need that money. Why don't our people have that money? I look around in Abuja today, at this very moment that we are talking about, how many quarries are operated, how many functional quarries, let me put that word functional, are operated by Nigerians, are owned by Nigerians?
Very few.
Very, very few.
Very few.
Go to our quarries in Abuja. There is a long queue of trucks that are demanding. But who are the guys there? The Chinese, the Turkish. They're the ones that are there because they're the ones that have the capacity to invest in this business. Financial capacity to invest in this business. Because the
technical support are being done by Nigerians in those quarries.
They have the technical people. You understand? But then our people too can do it.
Of course.
And they support it they support the technical with our own people too.
Yes.
So both their people and our people are in the technical. But who does the money go to? It is the investor, the owner of the money. They brought the monies from their countries. Even if they don't bring it in cash, they bring the equipment from their country. I was dealing with somebody and he was telling me that he has invested about $2 million on his factory. and he's going to pay that $2 million in his home country over a period of 5 years.
Wow.
But if it is our own businessman here, he has to be looking for that $2 million ahead. The best he can do is get an LC, and which he still has to pay as soon as the equipment gets shipped. So we need finance. The government needs to provide finance for the people that they have, that they have equipped for that entrepreneurship. I've been dealing with an organization, Enterprise Development Center. They are under the Pan Atlantic University that also has the Lagos Business School. They have the Lagos Business School, they have the Enterprise Development Center, and they have the School of Media and Communication. Those are the 3 faculties under that university has. Now, the Enterprise Development Center is catering to the needs of entrepreneurs.
Small scale entrepreneurs.
Not just even small, both the small, the medium, and the large scale. But they go to the grassroots and apply the technical knowledge that you get, the entrepreneurial technical knowledge, the management. They apply it to the practical needs of an entrepreneur in Nigeria. Those guys are doing a fantastic job. There will be many more like that. The government should sponsor more people to go to that kind of institution to learn the basics of entrepreneurship. Get people that are going to be instructors in the different organizations to go to that kind of organization to learn, so that they can transfer that same knowledge to the people. So now, when the government is able to build that knowledge, provide the finance, the government also needs to provide proper legal framework to support these organizations. Now, look at the United States of America. You find very large organizations, big Facebook, the Amazons, the different large multinationals that you are seeing, even all the Twitters, the social media companies, they're actually tech companies here, the Googles of this world, and even the other big hardware organizations that you see. I'll tell you something, most of them, the entrepreneurs had their knowledge, had their product. They were able to conceptualize, they built prototypes of their product. But then, there are professional managers that manage the business. So, in the US, it's not necessarily the entrepreneur that is managing his business. In Nigeria, it is the entrepreneur.
Is that done by the government or by the entrepreneur?
The government has already facilitated that, provided an environment that facilitated that. You see, in Nigeria, entrepreneurs are afraid. They have a small business. But if you leave it in the hands of somebody, they either mess it up or they take it away from you. Because there's no proper legal framework.
So what you are saying is that the government needs to provide a legal framework for entrepreneurs to survive. To survive,
yes.
Or to strive.
To support, to make sure that a Mark Zuckerberg can own his idea, can build his business small with just maybe $20,000, and can take his business to the point where he gets investors who are investing $20, $30, $50 million in the same business, and he still owns his business
without taking it out of him.
All
right, so to round up, because if I allow you to keep talking as a very grown entrepreneur, somebody who has a lot of experience, I know we will not leave this place. Okay. All right. So to summarize all that you've said first thing first is for the government to provide a good enabling environment for businesses to strive. You've talked about teaching them from grassroots, adding into curriculums from primary, secondary, and even universities, in schools, to teach these people how to do businesses, okay, to teach them entrepreneurship. And also you talked about financing, right? Having the bank or the government to provide an arm of the government that provide fund for entrepreneurs. Okay, not just the Bank of Industry or the African Development Bank financing the big businesses in quotes, but looking into the small scale businesses, okay? All right, because I'm aware of the SME, I'm aware of other sectors like that, but the question is, are they really supporting small scale business owners? Can a fashion designer go to them and say, oh, I have a business, I want to rent a shop, I want to do business? Or can a furniture guy or whoever who is into business or a creative person, speak to them, come up with a business proposal, and they will be able to finance it, support it financially and technically with a legal framework. This is what you're talking about. This is what I think that the government needs to do in helping entrepreneurs, and there are several of them who have taken risk and today they are successful. But there are several more people who are afraid of taking risk, like you said, because they don't want to fail or they don't want the businesses to crumble.
Or they failed before and they don't want to experience it again.
Good. Or they don't even have the fund to push. I know of a lot of people who have ideas, good ideas, that if you sit with them and hear the idea, you'll be like, whoa, why are you not starting this? This sounds so great. And you tell them, oh, I don't even have the money to start the business at all. There are many more like that, wallowing away and wasting away, who can add benefit, who can add economic value to this nation. So on this show, we advise today that government needs to look into all of these ideas that is being thrown out today and see how they can build a wealthy nation through the entrepreneurs. Okay, and I want to say thank you so much, Mr. Femi, for coming to this show today. We've learned a lot from you, and we wish you all the best in your business and all the best in Advent Group and all that you guys are doing today. I believe that you've learned so much from what we've shared as an entrepreneur or someone who wants to go into business, or somebody who is really doing or they are doing businesses right now. And we hope that we see more of businesses strive in this nation. We hope to see a wealthy nation through our entrepreneurs who are doing so much. Thank you so much for being part of this show, and see you next week as we bring to you Real and Peel, another person or another sector that we will be talking about. Thank you.